Hi guys. So I tried to stay away from ordinary political posts on online, even if I'm stupid enough to comment on some threads on Facebook. Never mind that. So this will be a video about basically how the police works in Sweden and how it doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is basically translate a post on Facebook from a guy called Erik Lakoma. I'm totally butchering his name though. Anyway, that's a really awesome guy. He's done some scientific research on gun crime in Sweden. He's been part of several investigations on how legal firearms are used in crime and stuff like that. Basically, they're not used. Criminals are smuggling in firearms from the old Eastern Bloc and stuff like that. The criminal firearms they use have never been legal in Sweden, but that's another discussion. That's not what this video is about. So I'm gonna translate his post. So please excuse my poor English. This is Erik Lakoma then. I have been in contact with several people who, after they applied for a license for weapons which the police deem nasty, or otäcka is the Swedish word, so well, nasty is a good translation. Anyway, or persons who have reported the police to our justice ombudsman, which is the only thing we can do. People who work at the government agencies are basically, they cannot be held accountable in Sweden. You can make a report to the justice ombudsman and they will investigate for you, but they have no teeth. They cannot really do anything. And usually, it's supposed to work like if you get a report against you and the justice ombudsman actually think it's valid, that's like a big spot in the personal history of you, and you shouldn't be able to be employable by any government after that. In theory. In practice, at least in the police, they don't give a fuck. So anyway, when people report them to the justice ombudsman, they have been harassed, or he writes, at least they have been not normal for the things they've been exposed to. Is not normal for any government agency to do against like a civilian. So you could view it as harassment, he writes. And the biggest case is a guy called Tony Selans. He's been in the media, so I'm gonna say his name. Where a guy called Peter Torssell, he's the one responsible for this in the Swedish police. He's like the highest responsible in the police in Sweden for guns and stuff like that. So he doesn't really work with like licenses. That's like the lowest people who works with that. So top chief and the lowest. He has a central administrative thing he does. He personally took his Tony Selans applications and denied them after Tony had criticized this guy Peter Torssell in the media. And he's not alone. A gun salesman who has reported the police has had a very thorough examination of his stock from the police. Hunters have had the same thing happen to them. And people who works in like a gun club, or a shooting club, has been told by the police to expel members who has reported the police. And they've been told it can become hard for the shooting club if they don't do that. Like hint, hint, nudge, nudge, we're gonna fuck you over if you don't do as we say. That kind of thing. And shooting clubs who owns weapons, like for beginners to borrow, they've been the police have been trying to take those guns away from the shooting club because people in the board of directors for that shooting club has like appealed things the police have decided. Hunters who has asked for papers from police, like internal communications. We have like a Freedom of Information Act thing going on in Sweden. It's called offentlighetsprincipen. We can call up any government agency and say, we want all your email traffic, and they have to send it to them. If it's a lot of papers, you have to pay for it though, but anyway. When some hunter has asked for some kind of papers from the police have called him up and like demanded to know, what do you want those papers for? Hunters have been visited on the LinkedIn profiles from Peter Torssell when the hunter has reported him. A sport shooter has been prosecuted by the police for bullshit charges, which were the attorney, district attorney, or what's the name for the guy doing the prosecution? Anyway, just threw it away because it was totally bogus. And different hunters have been called by Peter Torssell after they make reports. Same with sport shooters. A sport shooter has gotten information from the police that they have done, looked him up in all the registers, like if he's hasn't paid his bills, stuff like that, to get something to hold him accountable for and make up excuses not to give him a license and stuff like that. They're not allowed to do that. And he says there's a lot of other things that he can't really say because people tell it to him in confidence and he can't really tell anyone else about it. But I know of a lot of these things myself. I have not, well, once I was accused over email by a guy in Stockholm handling my license, and the thing was really bizarre because he didn't know what he talked about, and he got confused and he accused me of a bunch of bullshit that would be illegal to do. Well, not really. He misunderstood how that law works as well. It was even if he was correct in his when he accused me, it wouldn't even have been illegal. But that's another story. So I called him up and just told him, "Don't threaten me. Why would you even threaten me? I've been talking to you so long. You know I'm not that kind of guy." So he said he was sorry, and I forgave him. But yeah, the police searches for excuses to deny applications for weapons. Any excuse they can get, they use. And they become more and more bullshit. Like my 50 BMG case that never went anywhere. I have videos on that, look them up. They accused me of wanting to shoot armored personnel carriers and stuff like that. Like, where do you even get those ideas from? I wanted to start up 50 Caliber Shooters Association in Sweden. It's bizarre. And the thread on Facebook is filled with these kind of things. So what's actually happening is the police takes resources away from getting the real criminals, and takes time and money away from the courts with bullshit appeals and stuff like that from things that actually matter. I looked up some statistics. In Sweden, the first 6 months of 2017, 50 people have been shot to death by illegal firearms. I have no idea how many is just hurt, but several times that has been just wounded. So we're up to 50 people first 6 months of 2017, 50 people that's been killed by gunshot wounds. And the police decide it's very, very important to go after the legal firearms owners who are basically following the law, all of them, And even though the laws are bullshit, we all follow them. We have our hobbies we love, and we don't want to break any law, however stupid it is. So it's funny. Most laws are bullshit, but there's so much bullshit that it's really hard to know what they want us to do and how we like storing things. How do you store your guns in a way that's proper? If you have a son, how do you let him borrow your shotgun when you go hunting? So stuff like that. How do you do it legally? It's not really clear every time. So we have long discussions on with references to laws and just trying to figure out how they want us to perform on things. You can't really ask the police because they don't even know themselves. Yeah. I read an example. One guy shot a bear on his hunting where he hunts, where he's allowed to hunt. But the bear didn't die, so it ran 500 meters and he followed it and killed it. But that was on another person's land. So now he's accused of a crime. Because the police says, no, you shot it dead on that land, and that's illegal. You didn't have the right to hunt there. But he shot it first on his own. What was he supposed to do? Just let it suffer to death? He had to put it out of its misery. Because if he didn't do that, that would have been illegal too. So you're fucked either way. And that's the way. If they see one tiny sliver of a chance to fuck us over, they're gonna do it. Every kind of resource is available to them to do that. No resources are available to hunt for rapists, murderers, and whatever else we have in Sweden right now. I'm getting angry now. Better stop the video before I say anything stupid. So basically, that's the situation in Sweden right now. Have a nice day, everyone.